pitchers and catchers reporting, and Chris Young, Rangers general manager, was asked, you guys cool? Resting on your laurels after the first title? One and done? And CY admitted that the TV deal is an issue. We have to be fiscally responsible. There is a financial responsibility there, and they're going to open up the season with Eovaldi, Heaney, Gray, Dunning, and the fifth spot is open. Max Scherzer could come back in June. Tyler, is it Mahle? What do we decide? Mahle is possibly coming back in July, and then Jacob deGrom started throwing Monday, could return by August. But there's Chris Young saying, no, we're not trying to just go ahead and not contend, but our payroll is going to be the highest in team history. Is Jordan Montgomery just not going to get signed by anybody?
So I think there's an opportunity here.
It feels like Jordan is waiting for us to get a direct deposit.
He's waiting. He's waiting for any team to offer him the amount of money he wants. Yeah, but yes, this team especially. Look, I think there's an opportunity here for any of these teams, Rangers especially, who don't, because there's an uncertainty beyond this year with the TV deal. They may not want to enter into a long-term contract. I think there's a real good chance you can get, at this stage of the game, you might be able to get Snell, Montgomery on one-year deals. We saw this a couple years ago, right? Minnesota with Correa. Was it late in the game? Mm-hmm. Correa just signed like a one-year deal, right?
Snell, Correa, and Bauer.
So, championship. I do think that I think we are approaching that date. There's a cutoff day. I think these players want to get in camps. I think we're approaching that date where you might be able to be like, hey, look, Blake, we ain't going to give you 9 for 270, but here's 1 for 30. You want to come pitch for us? I think you might be close to that date.
Ooh.
Well, look, I mean, Chris Young said, never say never. He said we'll monitor everything. That's one of the things he was talking about yesterday. But he also kind of poured cold water on the idea of Montgomery coming back in that form, because he did say, he was like, look, we'll monitor it, but the reality is we're probably not making any more additions. This is what we have. Because I think they're probably looking at it as, we've got 3 studs coming to our rotation by the summer. We just got to get through the summer, man. Like get through the first couple months of the season, get by, next man up, like we had happen so frequently last year, and then we'll roll into it with Scherzer. We'll get Mahle. We'll get deGrom back. It'll be great.
Yeah, I think Snell's caught off guard here this year because you had the Dodgers spend $1 billion, right? They spent $1 billion on 2 guys. I think he thought the market was going to be more robust, but one team was out of it. One of the biggest markets was out of it. I think next year for him, that's why I think you might be able to get him on a 1. I think next year from him, the Dodgers may be back into it. If the Dodgers don't win this year, if the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year, their amount of money they would be willing to spend might go up. The Yankees, if they don't make the playoffs this year, their amount of money might go up. There's a lot of avenues out there for him to make money. I think that he may be better off waiting for next year with that bag that he wants.
But wasn't that the whole idea, was that the Dodgers didn't really spend $1 billion this offseason? Like Ohtani was taking his deferred payments and hey, I'm freeing it up so you can't go get people
it's still money on the books though, right? It's still money on the books. They owe it eventually.
Sure, they owe it. But I mean, the whole idea, Ohtani giving him the deal he did was so that you can go sign people like Blake Snell right now. And
well, they did. They got Yamamoto.
No, I know. That's what I mean though, is that I don't know that I don't know that LA is going to be open to him.
Maybe not.
He was one of the loudest people complaining about how uncomfortable he was with the new pitching rules. And he had success with it in the second half of the season. He did. He had success with it in the second half of the season. Early in the season, he had a lot of struggles, but he was one of the ones who consistently, even through his success, was like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I don't enjoy it. And so I just wonder if there's some sort of view of how long-term sustainability with his discomfort with the new pitch clock rules.
3 things that a lot of people say about Snell: strikeout artist, walk prone, workload concerns. But Jordan Montgomery is out there. Is Trevor Bauer going to be picked back up? And where are the Rangers when it comes to some different power rankings?
Yeah, real quick on Snell. One more thing on Snell. 2 years he's had. In 2018, won the Cy Young, 1.89. Last year, won the Cy Young, 2.25. His ERAs in the rest of those years, 3.38, 4.2, 3.2, 4.3, 4.04, 3.54. There's some good years in there, and there's some bad. He's had 2 great years. 3 pretty solid years, and then 3 meh.
Yeah, his peripherals are pretty good.
Yeah, they are. They are. But like, you're not paying $30 million a year for a 4.24. Like, you're just not going to do that. But the Rangers in the power rankings, where are they? Obviously, sometimes when you win a title, they just automatically lazily put you at number one the next year. You know, not everybody does that. I don't like doing that. Different teams sometimes. Catch lightning in a bottle, whatever.
This ain't charity.
Right? They don't. It's not.
Suck it for charity.
Maybe UNICEF will get into the baseball world someday, but as of now, they're not in there, so we're going to go with this. The LA Dodgers, number one. This This is going to be the most boring regular season for the Dodgers we've ever seen. They won last year, the West, by like 15 games. They're going to win 110 games this year. There is no doubt they're going to be in the playoffs unless all these injuries happen. And everything is a disappointment other than the final out in their favor.
Yep.
Braves, number two. I think the first surprise of the board is at number three. The Houston Astros. They also, interestingly, made Josh Hader their closer. Maybe it's not interesting, but I thought Preston did a really nice job as their closer, so I was a little bit surprised.
Why are you surprised that they're three?
I mean, they didn't have a great year last year, but they had a good year.
Yeah,
they came on at the end, but they didn't have a fantastic. I thought Baltimore would be ahead of them. I thought the Rangers had a better year, like start to finish. The Rangers, I thought, even though they didn't win the West, I thought the Rangers start to finish were the better team. I thought maybe Tampa might be ahead of them too. A little surprised at Houston at three. However. And also, like they mentioned, Fromber, over his last 10 regular season starts, he averaged just over 4 2/3 and had an ERA of 4.3. And his ERA was 9 in the postseason. Is that a good ERA?
No, it's not. So. It's bad.
At number 4, your Texas Rangers.
Yay!
Is a reunion with Jordan Montgomery inevitable? Don't bet against it. Agent Scott Boras is in good position with the Rangers brass. He directed Seager and Simeon to Texas and undoubtedly helped in moving Montgomery and Max there as well. He's got a lot of guys tied up here. As the Rangers' RSN situation clears up, they should be able to pounce and set themselves up for a repeat run. Don't forget, Jake deGrom is waiting in the wings. They're in good position to contend no matter what happens the rest of the spring.
Here's my question about what you said about them hoping for all the injured guys. Are they really legitimately believing in it? Or do they have no choice but to believe in it? I would feel much better if you told me, look, they're terrified and worried. They know they can't put a ton of stock in deGrom and Scherzer. Or they just have no choice because the money's tied up and they've already paid the monster deals. I would at least like to know that you're thinking realistically, even if you're stuck in the position.
I think it's slightly over 50% that he doesn't even pitch this year at all.
Oh, which guy?
deGrom.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's I think the likelihood is that he might be able to come back in August or September, but like, is it worth it? I mean, obviously, yes, if you're going to win a championship, it is worth it, but second Tommy John, man, scary.
We got to remember too this, and I'm sorry if this is they don't like it, it's off-putting to them or whatever else, but this issue the Rangers have with transparency about some of their injuries, not that they have to be, but it's less about transparency. It's about actively like saying something opposite of what ends up being the reality. They kept telling us deGrom's fine, Scherzer's fine, guys are fine, and then they're not. And so it's like, okay, how can I even trust the timeline of Scherzer in June, Mahle in July, deGrom in August? I can't necessarily accept those. And so I think you're right. I think it's more about they have no choice. But I mean, if you hear Sandler, and other people talk about it with Montgomery, like, I mean, they could go back into that well potentially if they wanted to. It seems like they have reservations that are outside of just money. It looks like they are wondering about other things, and they're just trying to see long term how much sense does this make for us.
I don't think Holland will mind this. I'm going to try to drag this out so he can frantically text, but he was just sending us his take on the pitchers. He said, I don't think deGrom is going to pitch until at least mid-August. Second TJ and so much money invested in him, they're not going to rush him back. Scherzer is more realistic, but he's older, coming back from a back injury. And if I'm not mistaken, going to be interesting to see how his back responds. I hope he comes back dominating. Pay Monty and take the risk on Bauer. In all honesty, deGrom may not even pitch again this year.
Look, you do not have to convince me to take a risk on Trevor Bauer. That is he is going to be relatively cheap for a guy. Now, he hasn't pitched in the majors in, 3 years almost?
Do you think he'll ever pitch in the bigs again? Or is this a permanent blackball?
I think it's, man, I don't know. I'll say this. Like, someone is going to take a chance on him at some point. If they do, it's going to be like out of a desperation. We've got a bunch of injuries in the middle of the season, right? I don't know if someone's going to go into the year with him.
The only thing is they can take teams in all professional sports. Generally, when you're talented, they can handle off the field heat. They can handle you being a bad locker room culture person. When you're both, that's when they start going like, how much is your talent really worth? And I think that's what hurts Bauer more than anything is the fact that it's off the field. I know, but
he's a jackass.
Right, he's a Cy Young Award winner who's not even been brought back into the majors despite being cleared. And it's because off the field heat, and he's apparently kind of a jackass. And
that feels like a month or two run where he can't poison a clubhouse. Injuries, over the top piece.
Yeah,
make him wait till after the All-Star break.
Absolutely,
if he comes back at all.
Yeah, like you're going to be a team out there that doesn't have. Let's just take Houston for example, right? Or take a team that doesn't have a very good farm system right now. That wants to compete. All right, they don't have the ammo to go make a trade. They do have $5 million to prorate over the final 2 months of the season for Trevor Bauer. I assume if he doesn't pitch in the majors, he'll be in Japan. That's my assumption.
My biggest takeaway from this entire conversation about the pitching staff, though, is again just how incredible it is that this team won the World Series.
Yeah,
because I can't recall a team that has, and this is not a slight. This is just how impressive it was that they did. They hit on Evaldi, right? But if you look at from farm system through free agent acquisitions, I can't recall a Major League Baseball team missing on as high a rate of all of their pitching decisions as Texas and still winning a World Series. That's just incredible to me.
Then they adjusted something to an MLB rule yesterday?
Yeah, so there's an obstruction rule around the bases, and they intend to strictly enforce this obstruction rule. Now, they're going to hold a video conference. They did that yesterday. So, like, if you're a fielder, second baseman, third baseman, or you're playing, or shortstops too would fall into this too. If you're not in possession of the ball and you're not in the act of fielding the ball, you can't impede the progress of any runner. And they're focusing on like the latter part of that rule they're viewing this as like they're calling it basically the Josh Donaldson, Ozzie Albies rule, right? There are some of the infielders whose names come up when it comes to blocking the base. They've already said you can't block home plate, and now they're doing the same thing with the other positions. This used to be policed by the players, right? You get the ball, you're ready to make a tag, you throw your knee down to stop the guy from sliding in. Well, it used to be you just go spikes up, take and just cut their leg. That's not really a part of the game as much anymore as it used to be. So it's a little bit different from that standpoint. Well, now they're trying to outlaw this rule, and they are going to make it more of a diligent enforcement of the rule.